Some more breaking news here on the San Francisco 49ers report, which means another show. Recapped everything from yesterday on a morning video here on the channel. Be sure to check that video out if you haven't already done so. It's popping off here on YouTube. The news that we're getting to now, the San Francisco 49ers signing wide receiver Kendrick Bourne to a one-year contract during our post-game show yesterday. And after that game, it happened where the Niners come through in the clutch for that epic comeback victory. We had talked about the possibility of the Niners signing Kendrick Bourne, and obviously over the last few weeks, we've discussed this possibility as well. The Niners, pretty busy today. Keep in mind, they came back from Seattle probably late last night after that huge Week 1 victory, and they keep the business flowing here. Earlier this morning, extending right tackle Colt McKivitz, a 3-year, $45 million contract extension for him in that earlier video, which is up on the channel. As I mentioned, we talked about that move. $15 million per year for a very solid right tackle. That's kind of the going rate for that position right now. Some of the top tackles in the game are making nearly $30 million per year. So the Niners really like him. Yesterday, McKivitz did not give up a sack, did not give up a pressure, did not give up a quarterback hit. He was going into the final year of his contract. And so a smart move for the Niners on that front, and a smart move for San Francisco here to reunite with wide receiver Kendrick Bourne. It's a one-year contract. According to Adam Schefter, who broke the news earlier about Colton McKivitz, he has some sources inside that building clearly. Bourne is returning home to the Niners, and this is a max value of $5 million. Of course, what the Niners did with Jauan Jennings, $3 million in playtime incentives, which means he has to put up numbers in order to make more money. But yesterday, he injured his shoulder. We had an idea that this was coming. Kyle Shanahan, during his post-game press conference when he was asked about the injuries to George Kittle and Jauan Jennings, said, "We're trying to still sign wide receiver Kendrick Bourne." Here's the exact quote. The Niners really like the player and what Bourne brings to the field and in the locker room. I know he hasn't signed with anyone, so I know it's a possibility. We can get him. I know we're still trying. Hopefully that can work out. Well, it works out for the 49ers. Less than 24 hours after Kyle Shanahan took the podium for his post-game press conference. And for Jauan Jennings, he is set to undergo an MRI today on that shoulder injury. The same for George Kittle on his hamstring injury. And the Niners were forced into a position where they needed to make a move at wide receiver. And just in the pass game in general, right? Because Jennings has that ailment. Kittle has that ailment. With Kittle's injury, he's such a focal point of this offense, and it's the soft tissue injury once again. And so you don't know how long that's going to linger. And the Niners late in this game, the top 3 wide receivers late in the fourth quarter, as Brock Purdy went 6 of 6 on that game-winning drive, Ricky Pearsall, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Russell Gage. And then the 2 tight ends, Luke Farrell, who caught that tough contested catch after he got popped in the chest, and then Jake Tunchess, who going into that game yesterday had not had a catch in his NFL career, and he had a couple of big ones for the Niners, including that game winner when he snatched it away from Reek Woolen. And for George Kittle, this could severely hamper the Niners' passing attack. The 49ers, despite his age and a little bit of an injury history, he's still the top tight end in the game, but they gave him that contract extension. He dealt with hamstring injuries last year. Throughout camp, he had been dominant. He looked to be in great shape. This is kind of how football goes for the Niners. They've had a lot of bad injury luck since Kyle Shanahan came here in 2017, and we'll see how long Kittle is out. But this is a necessary and smart move for the Niners to bring back Kendrick Bourne. And let me expand on that, right? UDFA in 2017 at Eastern Washington. I was just talking to Will Ortner, who you saw on the show yesterday for our final Niners Seahawks preview. He played at Central Washington. That's D2. But he did take an official visit to Eastern Washington when he was in high school. And the visit that he took to Eastern Washington, you had Kendrick Bourne as an outside wide receiver, Cooper Kupp as an outside wide receiver. What a crazy wide receiver tandem for Eastern Washington at that time. Kendrick Bourne was a really great college player, not good enough to be drafted, though. And so the Niners signed him as a UDFA in 2017, And he really developed year over year for the Niners and was with this team from 2017 through 2020. Throughout the duration of his rookie contract, he really proved himself to be a very valuable player for this Niners offense and a beloved player among this fan base, in the locker room, and by this coaching staff. He played so well with the Niners that he got a nice little bag from the New England Patriots. And he was with New England from 2021 through 2024. He was cut right around the 53-man roster cutdown day. Mike Vrabel clearly ushering in a new era under a new offensive coordinator in Josh McDaniels. They've let go of a lot of players from that previous Patriots regime under Gerard Mayo and Bill Belichick. And they're trying to rid themselves of some of those contracts. And they've let go of some players and have thought about getting rid of players who are making a lot of money from the New England Patriots. And that kind of included Kendrick Bourne, right, who was a pretty solid player for New England, but didn't really fit what the Patriots are trying to do now. If I'm running New England, I'm looking at a player like Bourne. I have a young quarterback in Drake May who struggled yesterday. He doesn't have a lot of weapons. I would have liked to have had Bourne on the team. But now the Niners bring back a player in Bourne who knows Kyle Shanahan's scheme, knows Kyle Shanahan's offense, and that's important because you can fast track him so that he's ready Sunday, week 2, against the New England Patriots. You take a gander at what he's done over his last 4 years. In 2024, played in 12 games, 38 targets, 28 catches, 305 yards, and a touchdown. He did have an ACL injury with New England, and so that's why the games played the last 2 years has been lower. He was on his way to having a really good year in 2023. In 8 games played, 55 targets, 37 grabs, 406 yards, and 4 touchdowns. In 2022, 35 catches, 434 yards, and a touchdown. And then his first year in New England, this was under Bill Belichick at the time. He played in all 17 games and had a career season, 55 catches, 800 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And then you look at his career numbers as we flip the page here, and this is a look at what he was able to do with the Niners, the steady progression, the steady improvements, the development. And the Niners really like how he developed under their watch as a UDFA, a really good player developmental story, 257 yards as a UDFA rookie. And then in year 2, 487 with 4 touchdowns in 2018, the year that the Niners made it to the Super Bowl, 30 catches, 358, and 5 touchdowns. And then his final year with San Francisco, you remember all the injuries that happened there, 49 catches, 667 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's what catapulted him toward getting that nice little bag from New England. According to Matt Mayoko, he is en route to the Bay Area to sign with the 49ers on a day where George Kittle, as I mentioned, and Jauan Jennings, hamstring, shoulder issues, are scheduled for MRI examinations. Bourne visited the Niners a week ago today on Labor Day, Monday, the following day after he worked out with San Francisco. He worked out with Washington. Then he decided to take the week to try to determine where he was going to go. Saw some injuries take place with the Niners, which is a big reason why he's signing with San Francisco right now. I really do love what we saw from Ricky Pearsall yesterday. And he is the bona fide Niners #1 wideout. 4 catches for a $108 yesterday. The 45-yarder on that final drive. Great throw from Brock Purdy. That subtle pump fake opened up a window for Purdy to hit Pearsall. And it's great that he's ascending here. But as far as the wide receiver depth, it is still precarious. And it's in a questionable spot. Now, you hope that Jordan Watkins, high ankle sprain, the rookie, 4.3 speed, had that 50-yarder from Mac Jones in the preseason opener, can get healthy soon and add to that wide receiver core. But Kendrick Bourne is just going to further solidify some of your wide receiver depth. And it's pretty telling that he doesn't play week 1 for the San Francisco, obviously. He wasn't with this team throughout training camp and in the preseason, yet he's got an opportunity to make up to $5 million. That's a pretty sizable payday for him and a really good opportunity. What Bourne also brings the Niners: energy, swagger, a little bit of physicality, like Jauan Jennings. He's a very similar player as far as playing style, but he brings you some of the same cultural elements that Jauan Jennings gives this team too. And obviously Jennings is very well liked inside that building. And it ended up being this, right? Kendrick Bourne played his cards right. He didn't rush to sign with the Niners. He didn't rush to sign with the Commanders or another team. He waited out week 1. He wanted to see what could happen. The NFL, very fluid league, right? Things can change in a blink. George Kittle, Jauan Jennings, they get hurt. Now that opens up an opportunity for Bourne to get run, get snaps and playing time. With that, he can produce, and if he produces, he can earn up to $5 million in 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you subscribe to the channel. When breaking news happens, I always talk about it here on the show, regardless of where I am. It's my duty to bring the faithful, the Niner gang, the Niner Empire, the best Niners content out there. And we're not just going to do a minute, 2-minute video. We're going to do deep dive analysis here on the show, on top of doing YouTube shorts, which are all those 60-second videos that pop off here on the channel. More to get to here on the other side. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss what we're about to talk about here. Some good insight on Brock Purdy and this Niners offense, including some alarming numbers for Trent Williams. We'll get to that here in a moment, but today's 49ers Report brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good and great to be right. It's very simple to play. Test out your sports knowledge. Show me that you know ball. Get your picks in less than 60 seconds. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. You can win big right now, up to 2,000 times your money. All withdrawals are fast and secure. And right now, when you play your first $5 lineup, you will get $50 back guaranteed. Pick more, pick less. Head to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Can't wait for some Monday Night Football tonight. Really good rivalry and matchup. Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears, J.J. McCarthy going up against Caleb Williams. Brian Flores' defense going up against Ben Johnson. Going to be fireworks in this one. And I think it's going to be a close game. Justin Jefferson, let's go with more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. Caleb Williams, less than 218.5 passing yards. And then Will Riker, the kicker, more than 1.5 field goals made. You have a feeling that maybe Minnesota can move the ball, but they might have to settle for some field goals. Play $5. Get $50 instantly in lineups. Real money sports action made easy. Claim your $50 now. Download the app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, some more takeaways from the Week 1 win for San Francisco. With this 49ers passing offense against a really good Seahawks defense led by one of the best defensive play callers in the game, led by Mike McDonald, you have to like how Brock Purdy played yesterday given the situation. Yes, he threw those 2 interceptions, but what you love to see, put those in the rear view, and when it's crunch time, when the pressure is on and you're down, you're paid $55 million to nut up when the pressure cooker is popping, right? And that's what Brock Purdy did. 6 for 6 on that final drive. 45-yard rope of a dime to Ricky Pearsall. That subtle shoulder fake opened up a window for Brock Purdy to complete that pass to his number 1 wideout currently. And Brock Purdy, efficiency-wise, one of the most efficient quarterbacks in Week 1 going into Monday Night Football. Now, if you watch Sunday Night Football, obviously Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, they're playing a different game, right? They have a lot more ability, naturally, than Brock Purdy. For Josh Allen, bazooka for an arm. He's taller than Brock Purdy, weighs more than Brock Purdy, better runner than Brock Purdy. For Lamar, obviously, he moves in a very frenetic, twitchy burst way, and he's a much more dynamic runner of the football. He, too, has a stronger arm than Brock Purdy. But here's the thing. There are different ways to play the quarterback position, right? And you don't have to be tall with a rocket arm and crazy feet and legs to have success in this league. I'll frankly say that the way that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson played last night, it's not an efficient way or sustainable way to play week in, week out. You can do that from time to time, and you can get by doing that, but it's just not sustainable to do every single week for a 17-game, 18-week schedule. And so Brock Purdy does it a little bit different. But what you like to see here, and this has been Brock Purdy's calling card since he came into the league in 2022, he's a highly efficient quarterback. He throws with timing, touch, anticipation. He processes very well. He's very accurate. He throws with really good touch. He can layer balls in there. And quarterback efficiency numbers, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, some of the most efficient quarterbacks in week 1. And you can build off of that. This Niners offense can continue to get better. And what did Purdy do? He did it without George Kittle, Jauan Jennings for most of the game, and obviously without Brandon Ayuk. He also survived the 2 picks and bad offensive line play. Purdy was pressured on 57.9% of his dropbacks, highest rate of his career. Dealt with adversity, handled it pretty well. Dealt with pressure, fared pretty well. Under pressure, 13 of 20, 126 yards, a touchdown. Both of his interceptions came when he was pressured. So it's not like he was operating in a clean pocket, and he was able to maximize what the defense gave him and maximize his surroundings. There's also this. From his blind side, not good here. Trent Williams is a little bit alarming against the Seahawks in week 1. Trent Williams allowed 10 quarterback pressures, 26.3% pressure rate, and 8 one-on-one quarterback pressures, 25.8% per next-gen stats. In every category, thanks to Nate Tice for the tweet, it's the most pressure he's allowed quite easily in a single game since he joined the 49ers in 2020. I know he was a little bit banged up. He didn't do anything throughout preseason. As far as playing, he did practice a lot throughout training camp, but he had a lot of veteran rest days. It was a loud, tough environment going up against a really good defensive front. But Trent Williams is 37 years old. Sometimes you lose it very quickly. We have seen offensive tackles be able to play into their late 30s and early 40s. But this right here is alarming. It has to improve. If it doesn't, it could spell trouble for this Niners offense and Brock Purdy here in 2025. And we're really going to be watching Trent Williams very closely here because he has to play better. And I'm sure the Niners saw that. And I'm sure that's what played into the decision to sign Colton McKivitz to that contract extension, right? Trent Williams is 37, but Colton McKivitz is going into the final year of his contract. And so this is a big reason why the Niners paid Colton McKivitz. They couldn't go into 2026 with 2 question marks, having to replace 2 offensive tackles if Trent Williams retires or if the Niners want to move on. So they locked down 1, and the signing of Colton McKivitz tells me the San Francisco 49ers know Trent Williams is getting a little bit older, starting to show his age. He had arguably against Seattle his worst game in a Niners uniform. Career highs in pressure rate allowed in one-on-ones and just throughout the course of the ball game. And so the 49ers probably watched the tape and they said, Colton McKivitz is going to be a free agent after this year. Trent Williams is 37. By the time that next year comes around, he's going to be 38. He has some injury problems, especially with his ankles. He doesn't look the same. We have some concerns about how Trent Williams is aging. We can't go into 2026 having to replace both offensive tackles, so let's lock down Colton McKivitz now, and then in the 2026 NFL Draft, I think San Francisco is going to try to find their Trent Williams replacement at left tackle. Don't forget to give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. The social media content has been taken off now that the football season is underway, and you just get more Niners content if you give me a follow over there.